Hey y'all, welcome back to the Black Flag YouTube channel. We today are talking about prehab, or otherwise known as injury prevention work for runners. One of the big things you'll notice is that hip stability lacks in a lot of runners. You'll notice that because we're always training at one range of motion, the core isn't able to necessarily stabilize in ways for us to be able to protect our pelvis and protect our hips. So easy ways for us to do that is to do something what we call anti-rotational core development, which we're going to go over today. So Coach Powell Wetzel is here going to be demonstrating. I'll be going through this with you guys. And what we're going to do to start off is on the floor, nice and easy. This is something you can do every morning when you wake up. It's called the single leg alternating glute bridge. Now with the glute bridge, you're going to notice a couple big things here. That the rib cage is going to stay down. He's not overarching the lower back or extending the lumbar spine. He's engaging glute. And now what we're going to do to be able to create that anti-rotational stability piece is that he's actually going to go ahead and extend one knee. The goal here is to not let this hip drop, okay? So you're going to resist that through the stability in the midline. He's then going to bring down that leg and then go to the other side. An easy way for us to be able to do this, guys, is 2 sets of 10 per side as slow as possible. That way we're actually able to go ahead and challenge ourselves further going down the road if you wanted to go up to 15 reps, 20 reps, or actually take that for a time demand of 2 or 3 minutes to complete. The next piece in the progression, guys, is actually going into a bird dog on the foam roller. The nice thing about the bird dog is because the body works in cross sections, we're actually able to stabilize and make sure that the alignment of the shoulders and hips stay paramount. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually use a foam roller to create an unstable surface. That way, the body has to kind of create some feedback for us to be able to get back into alignment. So what you're going to notice here is he's actually going to bring both knees up on the foam roller to start off. Hands are going to be directly underneath the shoulder. Remember, joint on joint on joint to create stability. He's then going to go ahead, retract shoulder blade just a little bit to create some stability up in the shoulder. And what we're going to do now is he's going to reach on out with one arm and one leg on the opposite side. You're going to notice that right away his body's trying to figure out the position. The goal here is for us to just be able to hold. Okay, when you go to hold, shoulder and hip opposite sides are reaching out with this hip staying squared to the ground. Obviously, the goal is not to let this open up to the side. We'll then go ahead and switch to the other side, and then same exact thing. You'll notice that the body is very asymmetrical in nature, especially for runners, meaning that one side is typically more stable than the other. The goal for us long term is to create as much symmetry as possible. Next on the series, if you have a kettlebell or a dumbbell handy, it is a beast hold with a diagonal kettlebell drag. I like to do this, or we always like to perform this in our classes where we're moving forward and moving back. So you're going to notice that the position he's going to get in, it's almost out of that quadruped position, except the knee's going to be off the ground by just an inch. So the goal is to keep the knee as close as we can on the ground without touching, okay? It's going to actually go ahead and start to fire up all the muscles, the postural muscles around your trunk. What he's going to do from here, guys, he's actually going to go ahead and reach across with the opposite arm to grab the kettlebell and drag across. While we're doing this, same exact thing, the hips and the shoulders are not allowed to rotate with the kettlebell. Rather, we have to brace against the rotation as we drag the load across the body. What we could do here is 5 per side for a few sets prior to anything that we're doing running-wise. So now that we're off the ground, we're looking now at a single arm kettlebell front rack squat. The nice thing about this, same thing as we were doing during the bird dog, is because the body's able to actually stabilize in cross sections, why not utilize that mechanism and load up single arm as we go down to squat, okay? So you're gonna notice real quick, he's gonna load on up like a tripod feet, create a triangle with the kettlebell. He's gonna hike it on in, he's there and do a squat. So you're gonna notice that the elbow's gonna just stay nice and packed to the rib cage. And as he goes down the squat, same exact mechanics that we always preach with the squat, big toe, pinky toe, heel into the ground, hips sit back onto as if we're sitting onto a chair, and the chest is still gonna stay tall. As he goes to sit on up, you're gonna notice that the position as he goes to squat back on down, that the rib cage doesn't flare open. That's gonna be big because it's gonna allow us to be able to kind of recruit more of our core muscles better for us to be able to stabilize the hip. That's the big thing. So here he's gonna go ahead and stand back up and he's gonna switch sides. If you've never done this before, you're gonna notice a considerable difference between the sides, which one's stronger, which one's weaker. That, in essence, is gonna allow you to know where we're asymmetrical for us to be able to kind of create more symmetry long-term for you guys as runners. All right, last part of our progression here for anti-rotational core development is that we're looking here at the Prehab press. I love the Prehab press simply because it allows us to be able to add resistance as we get farther and farther away from our center of mass. So What you're going to notice real quick is we're actually going to create more of a stagger stance. That's going to allow us to elicit more of a typical running response where we're not hip up on top of ankle. Rather, we're thinking here more of a displaced center of mass, okay, that you typically see when you're running. So notice right now, slight stagger. He's going to go ahead and press on out and press back. The tension of the band just needs to be a light tension band, so don't think your purples and green bands. Think more red and small, thin black bands. Okay. From here, we're going to up the ante a little bit. We're going to go all the way down into a half kneeling position here. He's going to engage glute here on the side. And notice how that front knee, the knee that is closest to the rig, is forward. That's going to be big. That's going to be big now because as we go to press them out, what's going to want to happen? You're going to want to rotate over that knee. Rather, we need to counteract that by pressing straight forward. So you'll hit both sides. He would then turn around and then again stagger that leg that is closest to the rig up for that pedal off press. Now, the nice thing, this is a good finisher prior to going out to run, is finding what we call a lateral pedal off march. What he's going to do is he's going to find like a slight hinge, okay? He's going to get some tension on the band, and what he's going to do, he's not going to move his arms, rather now he's going to go ahead and march his feet out. He's taking very, very small steps. Knee stays in line with the baby toe, and the trunk position doesn't change. Because of the tension of the band, it's going to want to pull you towards the rig. We need to be able to counteract. First up, the ante again is that he would go on back, and now he's actually going to go ahead and press his arms out. Now, because that center of mass, where the resistance is out in front of the hip, it becomes a hell of a lot harder for him. Think small steps here. That's going to be key for you guys to have success with this movement. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for watching. Be sure to subscribe, comment, and share to your channels. Thanks.
Fam on 3. 1, 2, 3.